This thing is Minecraft. You can dig, mine, farm, create golems, and even if you don't know about Minecraft, you have seen these. Or these. But not only that, this is also Plants vs. Plant vs. Skeletons? Oh wait, we even have food wars in here? And even Naruto? Have you seen that Minato scene where he uses his Rasengan? Well, we have the Rasengan guy here as well. As I was navigating in the world of manhwa, searching for my typical manhwa with 50 plus chapters in the super legal website that I regularly check, I stumbled across something that at first it just started to satiate my consumerism. I didn't expect much, however I was intrigued by the summary of this and I told myself, hey, let's give it a chance. Little did I know that I found a gem in all the in all the series that the website has. What I stumbled on was something called Dungeon Reset. Daun's ordinary life is turned upside down when he's summoned into the dungeon, where he must play a deathly game with several different people transported to the same place as him, including outlasting dangerous monsters and life-threatening traps. To make matters worse, he's only a production class participant with zero combat skills, but after Daun falls into a trap and through some twist of fate, he survives after a glitch reset, he is granted random but oddly helpful skills and he will need to get creative to clear the game and return home. Know that the rules no longer apply to him, what possibilities await in the tunnels below. To be honest with you, the story is not typical at all. Yes, it is an isekai, and they do have a system as well, but just starting there is a twist. It is an isekai survival group, because not only the main character, but a lot more people are transported to that world, and after, they realize that they were transported to something that is called the dungeon game. It is really interesting how this new world that they were transported into is, because it is a dungeon, meaning that it is a survival. They have to fight mobs, bosses, enemies, in order to advance while clearing the stages, and dungeons if they want to return to the world. But there are also materials that they can get to increase their survivability. It also provides us information that every dungeon has a different guide, and that these guides are there to literally do that job, but some of them avoid it and simply let it be. What I like about the design of this new world is that it appears that it is divided in different stages at the moment. These stages are inside different dungeons, and every guide, when they achieve a higher rank or have a higher rank, the number of dungeons that they need to manage increases. And as per the players complete the dungeon, they receive rewards when they do it. In the dungeon case, they receive a complete recovery and are sent to a different stage, and after everyone leaves is when the next reset begins. However, it appears that the reset is only affecting things that are on the surface and not underground. And since the main character is not affected by this reset, and knowing that there is a reset, he thinks that this new world is hypothetically an old world. But what they are seeing on the surface is created by something on top of that old world. When the main character is firstly introduced, he is initially seen as useless because he received a purification skill, that the only purpose of it is to take away the toxins of the meat and purify water. However, in terms of fighting power, he does not have the experience or a way to protect himself. So yes, he is helpful, but totally not a combatant. When he triggers the trap, survive, and starts digging earth lumps is when he finally got a skill that is able to be offensive, and due to the constant use, evolves to gain a better control of the dirt. Another skill that he was able to obtain without realizing was the strength of the wild boar, it being the first combat type skill that the main character possesses. But let's not focus only on his powers. All while surviving inside the dungeon, we get to see how he grew from being a useless man to be a leader by doing the hard work, repeating, and creating ideas of its own. Then we first see the rabbit. We see him like a plushie, just walking all cute and nicely approaching the participants and trying to explain something to them, but because of a certain someone, he gets offended, and we get to see a cruel and brutal character that is happy and enjoys seeing the suffering of the batch of people, following his job, that is to guide people through the dungeon game, as he is the guide of the first dungeon. And when the main character activates the trap and falls to be on the verge of death, the rabbit is happy seeing how the party abandoned him, because the party leader had to make a choice to either rescue him and basically everyone loses their lives, or kill the boss and keep advancing. We get to see how the rabbit personality and character truly develop throughout the series, because he's shown as a raw, brutal thinker that enjoys seeing people die and likes to see how they suffer, but they give us little changes in his personality when Darwin manages needs to survive, he is mesmerized by the thinking of this individual and frustrated by the dungeon for giving him different achievements that he didn't know they existed. We get to see a rabbit that is scared and vulnerable when facing his superiors, as well as a lazy rabbit that do whatever he can to not work, someone that enjoys vividly the food cooked by the main characters, also someone that learns to accept the ridiculousness of Darwin and his group, and a rabbit that enjoys being a pyromaniac and be basically free while being at it. And I'm not saying that the main character didn't develop or anything, because it actually did. However, I enjoyed a lot more the development of the side characters, because we also have a squirrel that is shown as a really curious but intelligent animal that simply goes to explore for food and gets involved with the main character while doing that exploration, and its life basically changes, and simply is just too cute. It's a must protect. We see another character named as Sungwo, and is shown as the personification of a leader, someone that is benevolent but decisive when there is something that has to be done before anything else. But being a leader is hard. We get to see him in sorrow due to the reminder of the fallen members that they have left, and also the ones that they were not able to save, and how he was shocked to see one of his fallen companions alive, and they show him amazed by the main character's skills. We have a moment of happiness and wholesomeness seeing him teaching what he knows to a little girl, and to later evolve to be like a parent to Darwin and warn him of the dangers of the world. We have Alpha, that was the administrator of the Shrine of the Dragon of Life until Darwin came to the shrine, which his only focus was to revive the Dragon of Life, and is amazed, confused, and sometimes loses his mind seeing how Darwin is and behaves. We even have a wife in the manhwa. Nope, not this one. This one, yes, oof. Bahamut is first introduced in a boss room, where in one hand had a death scythe and the other was shrouded in dark energy, known as the King of Death and the guardian who protects the witch's vacant dwelling, the Lich of Immortality. He was there to simply defend from intruders, but they develop him to be simply a must-protect waifu? However, as all these stories are, there have to be enemies, and they show someone named Baboon, that is a guy that wants more power and depicted as greedy. When the rabbit was talking to him, even though the rabbit thinks of him as an idiot, he later shows that he's not that of an idiot and outsmart him. Or Serpha, that is shown as an extremely smart lazy guide and magician, which he automated several processes within his dungeon authority. And when seeing the main character, he realizes the crazy ideas that he has and how ridiculous they are, so he can do nothing more than laugh. Since we still are in a game type thing, the participants are granted skills, but it's a whole lot better when they give skills for actions that you constantly do or innovating doing, because it opens a lot of possibilities for the series to develop, like Earthlump, that at first it started as a useless skill and basically the Minecraft meme, but later is one of the most useful skills that Darwin obtained, because as the levels and mastering rises, he is able to manipulate the mass and density as well as the form of the earth, giving him an OP skill later on. Or Purify, that was starting as a useless skill from the point of view of others, being only able to purify water and toxins in the meat. But as Darwin gets creative, he is able to use that skill in thoroughly different ways, and one of them is being able to attack freaking ghosts and do Rasengans to them. Or something that is called the Strength of the Wild Boar, that is one of the skills that the participants are able to obtain. It is a skill that doubles your physical stats for 20 seconds and has a 100 seconds cooldown, that when increasing its level reduces cooldown and increases duration time. So simply just imagine. And to have one of the best things that a series can have is helpers, being the case of golems here. By being as creative as Darwin, there are a lot of possible outcomes to have with them. We even have food wars every time the main character cooks. Everyone has sparkles in their eyes and Salib is knowing that he will be doing some food. Then we have some gates that are used as a teleport, like a nether portal, but instead of just building one to travel, it is needed to build another one at the place you want to travel to. However, this limitation is unlocked when the skill level is high enough, and it is even possible to travel through dimensions. As for the art, it is not outstanding, however the illustrator simply knows when to provide the extra mile in different scenes. Just look at that. Some of the manhwa panels are marvelous. But what I like the most in mainly every anime or manga or manhwa that I watch is the different designs that they are able to portray within the characters. For example, the bosses, because since every time they complete a stage, the difficulty increases. We get to see different bosses appear. For example, a griffin, an immortal leech, a shadow cat, and so on. We also have the mobs design, since there are a variety of different mobs. It's starting with a wild boar, then we have wolves, skeletons, scorpions, gremlins, etc. What I enjoy the most in the manhwa is the creativity within it. For me, it was really unexpected because I thought of a solution when they showed the different problems and issues that the main character had, and then the outcome is totally different as what I thought. I really like that the manhwa teaches you to think outside the box, in a way that is either funny or really creative, to go with the flow and what you believe it is the solution to that complicated problem. And if it doesn't work out, just accept the failure and move on. Try new things to complete it instead of being sorry that it didn't work out. To put it simply, this thing is creativity peak and comedy gold. Hi, thanks for watching the video, and sorry for the late upload. I am trying to get 2 videos a month, but I want to improve the quality bit by bit every video, so it takes time. Oh, by the way, I am NowInUse, but you can call me Nothing. Subscribe if you like the video, and if you don't, that's okay. Have a nice day and see you in the next video.